have this from your laptop? Mm-hmm. So cool. Do you have some background? That doesn't matter.
I'll pick it up. Well, good afternoon. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. I know many of you will catch this on the replay. Some of y'all gonna catch it on the live. But this afternoon, I am joined. First of all, happy Founders Day.
Happy Founders Day.
Yes, come on, pretty girl.
Happy Founders Day to all the sorors out there.
Yes. So I am joined this afternoon by my sorority sister, Melanie Miles, attorney Melanie Miles. Yeah. And I'm excited to have you here.
I am so excited to be here.
We've been working on this.
I know. I've been wanting to be invited. Yes. Oh man, it's so nice. It's so nice.
So I'm happy to have you here.
This is the perfect day to do it.
It is Founders Day. Yes. Tell me this. I'll start with everybody. Okay. Tell me about your first time voting. What was that experience like for you? What was the memory, the lesson, any of those things?
Yeah, you know what? I didn't grow up in a household. I didn't grow up in a household that was political. I didn't, right? And so we weren't talking politics around the table or anything like that. I don't have fond memories. Like my kids, well, the whole house goes out to vote, from the time they were really little and, all the way up. So I didn't grow up like that. But I think my very first memory of voting is when I was at Howard University.
Okay.
And so, there was so much going on in DC, and I felt like it was, my finger was on a pulse of what was happening. Marion Barry was in office, and, it was lots of, happenings around that. And so, yeah, I mean, I was my sophomore class president, freshman class president of the School of Business, and I was just real radical, we were marching and sitting in on an A building, and we were doing lots of stuff. So it was a good time. So that was my first time really getting involved in the political system.
Okay. When you were at Howard, did you vote absentee or did you vote in DC?
I voted in DC. Okay. I didn't even know about absentee voting.
Yeah.
Back then.
A lot of people. Yeah.
I didn't even know there was such a thing. I don't even know that back then you really could have done that, right? But no, I voted in DC.
Okay, excellent. So you are a practicing attorney here for about 20 years or so.
More than 20.
More than 20. Tell me, what was your profession prior to entering the law?
Oh, that's a good question. So my undergrad is in computer information systems.
Oh.
And so, So tell me about it. So when I graduated from Howard, I got a job working for a company called EDS. I don't know if you remember them, but it was Electronic Data Systems, and they were bought out by GM, and they had an Enron contract. So all they did was work with big, huge companies, setting up their computer systems and all that. So I was a systems engineer for them, and then wanted to, and I was actually in Detroit, working at GM on a GM account, and then Enron contracted with EDS, and so I was able to move back home. And from there, I started my own computer consulting company, and Sylvester Turner was one of my first clients. I automated his law office, and some other HISD, their food service division. I automated all of that. So, and that was the time when I realized, I think I want to go to law school because I'm dealing with contracts and stuff. And, I just felt like I really needed to understand the business better. And I felt like law was going to do it for me.
Now that you mention this, I can see that engineering spirit in you.
Yeah.
Because you're very precise. I just think about meetings that I've been in. Okay, now it's making sense. See, this is why I like doing this, so people can get to know the core of the candidate, not just the candidate, but who you are.
Yeah.
Just
because most people don't even know that. I mean, I own my own computer consulting company in Houston, and loved it. And I'm still such a techie. I'm big tech.
Okay. So, all right. So law practice. Tell us about your law practice.
So my law practice, so I'm board certified in family law, and I love it. All right. It's an area of law that either you love it or you hate it. I mean, so you're dealing with people when they're really emotional. They're going through some stuff in their lives, either child custody cases or divorces or adoptions or, or something, or it's dealing with CPS when CPS has actually intervened in a situation. And sometimes they're trying to remove a child from a home that needs to be removed. And sometimes they don't need to be removed. So so I get involved with that. But also, in addition to that, I do a lot of work in the community. So I do a lot of real estate law, and I work with civic clubs a lot, with their deeds and deed restrictions. I've done a lot with fighting City Hall and the planning department with regards to things they were trying to impose in Third Ward, that historic district.
That's excellent, because I was going there next.
Yep, that historic district. I was at the forefront of that fight, and always down in city council meetings and stuff, and telling them, you can't just put this stuff on people, right? And I've done traffic tickets and small claims cases where contractors are trying to take advantage of seniors and elderly people. So I'm running, as you know, for Justice of the Peace, and a lot of those things that happen in the Justice of the Peace Court are just community-based things, right?
Okay.
Disagreements or things that people in the community need help resolving. And so that's kind of what I've made a practice of, but that's all free stuff. That's
you do a lot of
that's just free.
Assisting.
Right.
So speaking of Third Ward and City Council, what was was it the Riverside Terrace that you were president?
I was one of the founding members of
it. I remember your name being one of the prominent names when that was happening with City Hall.
Yep.
Tell us about your advocacy from that standpoint. Then we're going to move on into your candidacy.
Yeah. So what gets me is I have a problem when people are coming into communities and telling them, this is what's best for you. It just reminds me too much of, colonization, just don't come into a community and say, I know what's best for you, and you don't know what's best for you. Right. And so that's what was happening. And, they were trying to do first it was, we're going to come in and some of the traditions in Third Ward, like, garden club, there's an African-American garden club that I'm a part of. It's the oldest garden club in the state of Texas.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's a wonderful thing. There's a lot of little old ladies in it and all of that, but it's great. Well, they moved in trying to get rid of some of those traditions, and it started there and moved to historic districts. Well, we're going to make this a historic district now. I mean, that sounds good, but it means you can't go to Home Depot. Yes, it's restrictions,
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't go to Home Depot and get windows anymore. You can't put a ramp for your grandmother in front of your house. You can't, there are a lot of things you cannot do. And it increases the cost of home ownership.
Yeah.
And a lot of people in the community are just trying to, they may be first generation of that home or second or third, and they're just trying to do what they can to maintain it. Right. So anyway, so that's, I have, that's like a pet peeve of mine. So don't come telling us what we got to do,
Don't be telling us what you got to do.
Yeah, don't be telling us, kind of like ask us, do we want this?
What do we think about it?
Yeah.
So you are running for Justice of the Peace, Precinct 7, Place 2, 7-2. Why this office? Why now?
So why this office is because I was doing some of that volunteer community work, and I ended up in this court helping an 86-year-old man who's being evicted wrongfully, and he'd been in a home for over 40 years, and the neighbors were up in arms and asked me to get involved, and I went down to the court, and I was able to work out his situation with it wasn't even a landlord, it was a relative that was trying to evict a stepson, and so I just took care of that with the stepson. So that went away. But I got a chance to just sit in that court all day watching the cases going, back and forth. And I was just appalled. I mean, family law is one of those, it can't be contentious, right?
Yeah.
And, everybody's, the lawyers are contentious and the parties are contentious, but I've never seen anything like this in my life. It was a situation where litigants were not being heard. They were going into court and, given literally 90 seconds where the cases are all stacked up within 150 cases in 4 hours, that's 90 seconds a case. And so when you have people who are confused, who have never been in court before, it's overwhelming to most people. And so for them to have to defend themselves and try to show their documents and receipts and, all of that, and then being told, I don't want to see any of that. Did you pay your rent? No. Okay, then eviction granted. And that kind of eviction mill and the way that you talk to people, disrespectful and rude. And so I left there just feeling like, okay, I don't even believe what I just saw, right? And I can't believe that someone who is supposed to be representing and that we've elected to office would treat the people of this community that way. So 3 weeks later, I went back. I said, well, maybe that was an off day. And so I went back and it was worse. I saw a single mother with a child, and she was able to actually say, I've got the rent today, and the landlord was like, well, we'll work with her. And so they both were yelled at and told they should have had that worked out before they got there. And the eviction was granted and a judgment was issued against that young woman. And so
even with the willingness
of the landlord.
Oh.
And so, July, I mean, I have a real issue with looking at that kind of unfairness, and that kind of treatment, because once you get a judgment against you, then you're going to have a problem finding an apartment again. You can't move into a building and have evictions against you, right? You can't apply for a job, and because it's going to show up on the background check. Even fast food, it shows up on the background check. It's going to show up on your credit report. So it really has long-term effect. It really does. When my mother, actually, she was expecting me. My father was killed in an automobile accident, and so she had to drop out of TSU and take care of me and my sister. So she had 2 babies, 2 young kids, no education really, because she only had 1 year TSU. And she was working as a nurse's aide, and she was at night. And so during the day, she was in nursing school trying to become a real, nurse, right? And so it meant we had to, kind of stay with neighbors and family and, all of that. And there was a point in time where we came very close to eviction several times. And but for that landlord, compassion. But for compassion. And when mothers and parents with children, they get evicted, that means they have to change schools.
Yes.
They have to move around from place to place, the instability of it.
Yeah.
So if I didn't have a compassionate landlord, my mother didn't have a compassionate landlord that day, then I probably wouldn't have, had the outcome that I have right now. I mean, it probably would have been very unlikely, because she would have had to go from place to place trying to,
pillars to posts.
Yeah, exactly. So, justice isn't just, I got to follow the law. There are so many other things. And I've learned that in family law these years. There's so many other ways to work out a situation. And I'm not saying, the landlord has to take the brunt, because they need to be paid, right? You can't live anywhere for free. But landlords usually always have a lawyer. Right? They always have their lawyer there. So they're not being taken advantage of, We're just talking about, really, making it fair for both parties.
Create some equitability. So when elected, if elected, will you have mediation in your court?
I will. Okay. I will. So right now, this court allows mediation in small claims cases, but not in eviction cases, right? And so, so yes, I think this court has no resources for any kind of case, except they allow for some mediation in small claims. Right? But other than that, this court needs a lot. It needs, first of all, it needs legal aid and legal assistance. So I've been endorsed by the Houston Eviction Advocacy Center. And that's the organization that puts lawyers into the courts. And Commissioner's Court just contracted with them to provide lawyers in the courts in Harris County. But this court doesn't have it, right? In 7 years, they have not tried, I'm assuming tried, or taken any steps to get legal aid and legal assistance in the court. So that's one thing. But there are other things you can do besides mediation. You can, first of all, you can tell people to just step out in the hallway and talk a minute.
Yeah.
You know,
Y'all take a moment to just talk it out.
Yeah. You know, before every case, you can say, why don't you see if you can, work this thing out? Can't you, landlord, she says she's going to have it next week. Can you wait 1 week to, get your money? Okay. I can write up what's called a Rule 11 agreement, an agreement between the parties. And if she doesn't have it, your eviction will be granted. But if she does, this is going to be dismissed, right? We do it in family law. It can be done in JP court. Matter of fact, lots of JP courts do it, right? Mm-hmm. You can have rental assistance, utility assistance. Wanda Adams has, seafarers and, jobs and unions and everything. And that's what should be done. That's what should be done.
It's the people's court.
Right.
The justice of the peace court. That's how I always thought of it. It's the people's court. Like, yeah.
Yeah, like Judge Judy and all of that. Yeah. It's where people get to come down and work out their disputes.
Yeah, because it's not as much of like a district court, trial court, but not to confuse anybody. It's not downtown court.
No,
right?
and
it's in your community or adjacent to it.
And the judge is somebody who lives in your community. Mm-hmm. So it should be the people that come through the court, you should kind of know them, I mean, but that's not what happens now. You don't have a situation where the judge is out in the community, and we don't have a situation where the court has compassion. People. Okay. And that's what needs to change.
Okay. So getting in this race against this incumbent who is second generation in this court.
I know, right?
I won't say inherited it because she didn't inherit. People actually did vote, but the last name being on the ballot after having been on the ballot for so long. So you're coming up against a wall of power, so to speak.
Absolutely.
What was that decision like? Did you weigh that, or were you just like, no, I saw what I saw, I felt what I felt, and with those visits, I'm gonna run anyway? Or was it? Did you like reason through it? You know what I mean? Yeah. Understanding that you were coming up against somebody who has that that branding, so to speak, in the community.
You know what? A little bit of both. I'm just gonna be straight up with you. A little bit of both. So. One is, you're right, her mother was there first, and her mother was there for 15 years, and she's been there for 8 years now. So we've had 20 years of voting for that name, and everybody loved her mother. She was a great judge. She was a great person. She was compassionate. She provided resources to the people, real resources. But for 8 years, it's been void. And so, July, the mental process with me is, one, something has to be done, right? And then two, do I think the people in the community see what I see and will be and will want something different? And if you go to my website, which is milesforhouston.com, MILESFOR Houston.com, there are testimonials on there from people who and their real life experiences in this court. And so that's what I started hearing. And once I started asking more questions, I started getting all this feedback about how people were treated. And there are a lot of people, I mean, not just evictions, you're talking about small claims, people with neighbor to neighbor disputes, things like that. And so I started getting more and more and more feedback. And, I just believe that there's more than just me that wants something better for our community, and believes that we deserve it, and if nobody stands up and says anything, then nothing gets done. So the worst that could happen is I don't win and she stays in place. But if nobody tries, she's going to stay in place. So
let's pivot from the race a little bit.
Okay.
And I want to talk about being the chair of CD18.
Yeah.
Right. So when you sought that office, could you have imagined 2025 being what it was for CD18?
No.
Okay. So tell us about leading throughout this process. Because we're almost at the finish line.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks away.
So Congressional District 18 was chaired by Dr. Linda Robinson, right? Amazing woman. And she was at the time experiencing some health issues. And she came to me and asked me would I take over chair, would I run for chair? And I told her no at first. But then some other folks, other precinct chairs came to me. And so I did. And so I was elected into the position. I just thought that it was just a management job, and just kind of help the precinct chairs to better get out the vote, to organize, to make sure they were connected in with the party and everything that the party was offering and had to do. So just really a central hub and bring some organization to it. We formed our PAC. Raised money, which we had $0 when I started. So we raised money, we formed our PAC. I formed an executive team, which is the first time we've ever had an executive team of, precinct chairs and stuff. So we collectively make decisions, not me making decisions, it's us making decisions for CD18. And I thought that was it. But lo and behold,
March 5th.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was heavy.
Yeah. And so, and we put on, I think, an amazing, 2-3 forums?
Yeah, and a debate.
Yeah.
A televised debate.
Right. Yeah.
And
two televised debates.
Okay.
2 televised debates, one at the girls' school.
Oh, that's right.
A young women's college.
Well, that was after Congresswoman passed.
Correct.
At the Young Women's High School. I was there because Alex sang the national anthem.
That's right.
And Delon was the moderator.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's when I first met Carisha.
Oh, really?
Shout out to Carisha.
Yes, I'm telling you.
Who is this?
I know.
Y'all may not know me, but everybody on this stage does because I've helped them. Like that stuck with me.
Right.
So you organized that.
Yep.
And then the debate that was this past fall
at Wheeler.
The
first one was at the girls' school.
Yeah, after the death of the Congresswoman, leading up to the precinct chairs vote.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just an example. So the party came to me and said, listen, can you put on a debate? And I said, yeah. And no money, no help, no resources or anything else. And I said,
you lean into your network.
You lean into our network. And I said, you know what? One thing we're going to do is if we're going to have a debate, then we're going to have a full-fledged, televised, with real moderators and all that. Because, they don't expect it, but we're going to show them how we really do things, right? And so we're going to deliver excellence because our community deserves excellence. Yeah. We deserve excellence. And so everybody grouped together. I got all the clubs and orgs involved, and everybody pitched in, and we put on an excellent event. And then the next one was at Wheeler.
Yeah. So in leading through 2 deaths, organizing after Sheila Jackson Lee's death, that debate, and then subsequently Linda Bell Robinson, right?
Right.
She was still in office when the precinct chairs voted between Amanda and Sylvester, right?
Correct.
And then you came on after her,
right?
And then you carried the district through.
Correct.
This general election that just passed. We have a special election runoff coming up. What's the weight of that as a leader, though? Because that's very political. Like
it is. Someone was asking me yesterday, and I get asked all the time, well, what do you think? Amanda Christian, or Al Green now, because Al Green is we'll have him on the ballot in the primary. And I just don't feel that is my place to say anything. We've got some great candidates that are running. And so I actually feel that we'll be in good hands no matter who wins, right? Now there are preferences that everybody has one way or the other, but I don't think it's my place to put my finger on it and weigh in.
Okay. How did you activate precinct chairs and community? I know I came to a meeting, right, with your executive committee. How did you activate all these different people to move things forward? And the reason why I'm asking this is because you don't have to activate different groups,
right,
to do some of these things you're hoping to do through the courts. You're going to lean into those relationships
and those partnerships.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, as you described with Judge Adams, what she's been able to do in what is that seat one, place one,
right
over there in precinct 7. I just think that's awesome that you have that wherewithal, but you don't need that.
I know. You know what? It comes from, I've been in the community a long time, and I've been in the community working a long time. And so, I don't think that, it just happens because, people see the effort. They see that, I'm sincere about it, and that if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. It's just it. We're going to work together to figure it out. And as far as where we're going now with CD18 and getting everybody to mobilize, the heart is there. It just may not know how to make it happen, And so that's what being a leader is to not do the work, but to, bring some vision and direction to it. Right. Okay. And to, just arm people to be able to be their very best, to bring out the best in everybody, because we are a community. So I've been working with all these civic clubs for years, doing their deed restrictions and, helping them in other ways. So they know that, when I call on them, then they're usually going to come because they know that it's something worthwhile for the community.
Okay. If I may, stay in this same vein, but be a bit controversial.
Okay.
So you've been in 2 parties. And you're back in the Democratic Party. What I'm hearing is you have relationships where you're not being penalized for having been a Republican, because people who are in the Democratic Party are still reaching out to you. They don't see, and I'm asking this or framing this because of last night's conversation with your opponent. Because she brought to the attention that you ran as a Republican twice. But it sounds like the community don't care. Just listening to you is not, I know what I see, but listening to you, it sounds like the community is not as concerned about that. Because they've seen something different on the ground.
I would like to think that they don't. I really would. And I think the reception and the feedback that I get is all sincere, and mostly positive. Just to clarify that, if I can.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I did run for family court judge twice. And at the time that I ran, and, my opponent conveniently didn't bring this part up, but because they're very aware of it, because I talk about it openly, right? So, but at the time that I ran for family court judge, there were no judges of color. Of any color. There was no, and I'm talking about on the family bench. So there's no Black judges, there's no Hispanic judges, there are no Asian, Indian, gay, straight, or any other LGBTQ or disabilities. That none of that in the family court, and hadn't been for over 25 years. Okay. And so what I saw on the bench on a daily basis is people being like at this JP court, to be honest with you. What I saw on a daily basis is people treated the way they're being treated in this JP court. They were disrespected. They were talked to poorly. Justice was not equal across the board. I saw people who were trying to adopt and were not allowed to, because of, they weren't fit for adoption, right? Because they didn't agree maybe with their lifestyle or something like that. I saw CPS, the organization that my opponent works for, take children out of their homes because the parents may smoke weed, but they have a full-time job that they've held for 15 years. It was a very difficult time, and it was a very difficult time for me to watch. And so I made what I thought was the right decision at that time, but it was really the wrong decision. But I thought I was doing the right thing. And that was to make a change, to raise my hand and say, you know what, if this is how it is. I know I can create justice in this one court if I get elected. Now, at that point in time, July, I really didn't think that it made a difference what party you were in. I just thought justice is what really made the difference. But I know now, we all know now. I mean, look at our Supreme Courts, look at our Court of Appeals. The party does make a serious difference. But what my opponent, maybe because of her youth or whatever, but there are things that most people have experienced in life, and they would do it different if they had to do it over again, and people make mistakes, and I'm going to be the first to tell you that I made a mistake in taking that approach. But my values haven't changed. My democratic values were the same then as they are now. And, if we look around at some of our politicians that say that they're Democrats, say that they're Democrats
right now.
And we have issued referendums against them. We've said that their behavior is not a Democrat. So what I say is that Democrat is not a name. It's an action, right? And so I tell people, if you want to see a Democrat in action, a real Democrat, then you vote for me, right?
Okay.
All right, because my actions are consistent. So that's my response.
That's your response. Well, I knew that was an important question, but that was a good time to ask it because you were talking about community,
right?
And it was just natural. So I was like, well, this is a good entry spot because it's evident in what I've witnessed, but also in what you've experienced, that there is a level of trust and respect that is consistent.
Yeah.
Because you move people.
Yeah.
Like people your executive committee could have been like, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah, that's true.
Because you got some tough people on there. They got some voices. They're not afraid.
They're not afraid. They're not afraid.
They're not afraid, honey. Because Justin gets me together all the time. He gathers me.
And with those kind of people that are just strong and committed, and they're committed to the work, I mean, there's no way they're going to follow. All these precinct chairs, there's over 100 precinct chairs in CD 18. There's no way they're going to follow me if they think that I'm not a Democrat. And that I'm not, I don't have Democrat values, and that they can't trust me, right? There's just no way.
Let me ask you this. So the party overall has an issue with vacancies.
Yes.
What wins or strides were you able to take in, because I want to show leadership. What were your victories with increasing or decreasing the vacancies? Like, what were some of the things that you all did over the past year or so?
We have done an amazing job. And you mentioned Justin Boyd and Matt Prudhomme. Those are the two vacancy chairs that I put in place. They have done an amazing job. And together, we all have been very intentional about recruiting precinct chairs. And so, a lot of people don't know what precinct chairs do, and they're like, I think that means I got to work a poll, or something, work the election poll, right? But in which you can do that if you want to, but you don't have to do it. But we've been able to increase by, I think we've within a 6-month period of time, we've at least increased by over 20 precinct chairs that we've brought on, right? And I think it's even more than that now. I'm really happy, which is more than all the other CDs have done. So I'm really, really proud of that.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I didn't know the numbers, but I know the work.
Yeah. It's and the importance of bringing on precinct chairs is because they know their blocks, right?
Yeah.
They know that area that they are in charge of, which is called their precinct.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and they know who's voting, who's not. They can, help to get out a vote. That is the whole, purpose of it. And so the more people we recruit to fill those areas that don't have precinct chairs, then the more we're able to get the Democratic vote out. Right.
Okay.
And hopefully the goal is that we are getting closer and closer and closer, which I'm, very prayerful that it is this year we'll have a Democrat senator, I mean, so, and we'll take some of these statewide seats. So
that's the longest ballot, honey, in the country.
I know.
In the country. All right. Back to JP. All right. So tell me, in the first 100 days of being JP, because you all, whoever wins, you'll take office in January without a doubt. No, don't have to worry about November.
Right.
In the first 100 days, what can constituents of Precinct 7 expect from you?
The very first thing I'm going to do is kick open those doors, all right, and make sure that that court is accessible to everybody. Right now, if you go to, well, maybe not now because she's been exposed, but every Monday, every Monday, that court has been closed, meaning the judge is not there. Right. And her docket sheet shows it. Her staff confirms it. Her bailiff confirms it, that she's not there on Mondays. Right. And so that's the first thing, because you can't have justice if the judge isn't there.
Right.
So that means if somebody's locked out, or you have a serious dispute over the weekend, or you go in on Monday, you cannot get justice on Mondays. So that's the first thing, to make sure that I'm there. I will be there 7 days a week, 8 to 5. I work 5 days a week. Okay. 5 days a week, 8 to 5, not 7. 5 days a week, 8 to 5. I mean, I work that now. Don't you work 8 to 5, 5 days a week?
I work.
I'm telling you.
I don't even count the hours. I just know I work.
I know we work, right?
And I come home and crash.
Right, exactly. So, and we're being, you're being paid for that. That's taxpayers' dollars, right? That is going. So you should be at work. So that's number one. Number two is I will implement. We talked about technology. We need technology to be the ability is there, but it's just not being used. So one, we need to do Zoom. We need to offer Zoom hearings. This court has at least 50% of the cases are default, right? And so nobody wants to file a case or respond to a case, and then the case is rendered to the opposing person because you don't show up. People aren't showing up because
courts of convenience.
Right. So it means offering Zoom hearings. It means in my situation, I want to offer a Saturday once a month, and at least once a month evening hearings, right? And so it just means juggling the staff a little bit.
Like a night court?
Like a night court.
That used to be a TV show when I was a kid, I think.
It did.
Night court. Okay.
Like a night court. That's exactly right. Because if somebody's having an issue, whatever it is, even if it's a traffic ticket, a lot of people can't take off during the day. So it's just a matter of convenience. It's easy to do, and so this is a community people's court. So why not make it convenient for the people? So that's the next thing that I would do in that same period of time. Two is this court has 2,000 more evictions than the neighboring court, which is Wanda Adams Court. 2,000 more. So that means landlords get to pick which court they want to go to in this precinct. So precinct 7, they can either pick Wanda Adams Court or this court, right? And so overwhelmingly, they pick
landlords pick two because they know in one.
Yes,
she got systems in place.
Exactly. She has resources. She has lawyers over there. She's going to make you talk. She's going to have rental assistance and all this stuff. And so the landlord, but over here, it's going to be an eviction mill. She's going to say, have you paid your rent? Nope. Okay, eviction granted. And you're going to walk out in the hallway. It's going to be completely bare. Nothing's going to be out there. No help, no assistance, no resources. And you're going to walk out and straight into homelessness, possibly, right? No safety nets. No, so whatever crises you're in is going to be permanent when you walk out of there. So that's the next thing, which is change the docket system so that one with Zoom calls and night court and Saturday court, in addition to that, provide resources for everybody so that you have not only the resources that we mentioned, but, have you ever been on Harris Votes?
Yeah, all the time.
All right. So on Harris Votes, they have great videos, right, which I appreciate. So they show you how to vote, where you're polling, how to find out your polling location. Well, why can't we do that in JP Court? On the website, this is what to expect when you get to court. This is what tenants' rights are. When you get there, this is what the judge is going to ask you for, so have your paperwork.
For court.
Yeah. Prepare yourself for court, right? So that when you do get there, whether it's a small claims or a traffic court or whatever it is, then whether you are the plaintiff or the defendant, then there are videos you can watch at home. You don't have to feel intimidated by the process. You don't have to get down there and wonder, okay, what am I gonna, what do I expect? Which is what happens every single day. So things like that is something else that I would implement. And most importantly, to treat people with kindness, dignity, and respect, and make sure that they are heard. Listen, listen. It's simple. It's
so first 100 days, open those doors.
Yeah.
Put systems in place for accessibility and information, and be compassionate.
Right.
Okay. First 100 days.
First 100 days.
All right. That's cool. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna say that question. How would you describe your brand in the community today? Like if someone was to describe you, how would you want them to describe you? But what do you think your brand is in the community today? Like for me, they're gonna say she's gonna educate you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how people see me, as an educator, a connector. How do you think people see you? I
think people see me as resourceful. Okay. I think people see me as a person to call to get things done. And I also think people see me as not a pushover, you know? Yeah. I think they see me as
you're a pretty girl, but you're not a pushover.
Yeah, I think they see me as a fighter. I think that's what they see.
Okay.
That I'm going to fight for you. That I'm going to make sure your rights are protected. I'm not going to allow anybody to, step on my community. And I'm going to be resourceful. I'm going to make sure that whatever we do is going to be, just like it is over there in that side of town. Okay, whatever that is, that's what we're going to have over here. All right. Computers, resource rooms, help, legal assistance, rental assistance, jobs, job fairs, wills. There's no reason why we can't have will clinics in those courts. If you've got extra time, then have a will clinic. If you got extra time working with the community, why not address our lack of deed restrictions across the community, which is a real problem. We're trying to protect the character and nature of our community, but we need deed restrictions. So all the civic clubs need to come together and we need to work that out. So the court could be a big help in doing that. So it's not, in my mind, it's not just about sitting there from 9 to 5 and, putting a stamp on it and you walk out the door. That is not, in my mind, that's not what the job is. The job is bringing resources to the community, making the community better, and being a partner and a part of the community.
All right. I want to go back to something you mentioned earlier about the eviction, I guess, I don't know the name of it, but like resource center or advocates or what have you. How did that endorsement come about? Because I saw that video. How did that come about in building that relationship? Because for me, that was pivotal.
Yeah.
I'm in precinct 1.
Yeah.
Right. I'm North Shepherd.
Yeah.
But hearing that and like watching that video and hearing him speak, that told me that was something that he saw or believed in you, or something that he experienced in that court and knows that court needs. But tell us how that came together, that endorsement, because that was huge.
This court has a reputation of being the worst JP court in the county. Okay. The worst. All right. JP court in the county. And the worst as far as everything. It has the largest number of appeals. That means people, and it's not even the largest caseload, but it has the largest number of appeals, meaning people are unhappy with their outcome. That's exactly right. So it has the largest number of appeals. 50% of the cases end in default. You got 2,000 more eviction cases, no resources, and a judge that talks to you crazy. I mean, all of that happening, right? And so the way that the Houston Eviction Advocacy Center works is it is an incredible organization. They started in Dallas. They put lawyers into every JP court in Dallas County. And so now they moved here. Mark Melton is the founder who gave that endorsement of me. And, I went to him and said, this is, what I want to do in Harris County. He came, well, the introduction was by referral.
Okay.
Someone here who's been working the ground on evictions and JP court and equality in JP court for years and years and years and providing services is the one who referred me to him.
Okay.
And so because of that, he was willing to basically, interview me, and with that letter of recommendation from these other individuals, because they just see my work, I work with them on other projects and other things. And so they were like, you definitely need to talk to Melanie. The other thing that came out of that they did is they said, Melanie, we also want you to talk to the Houston Press. So about, just eviction process and all of that. So look for an article about evictions and what's coming up, because there are a lot of state changes. SB 38, which is a bill that makes it easier for evictions to occur. I think it hurts the tenants a great deal. It gets rid of squatters, but anyway, so I was interviewed for that too, because of just seeing the work that I've been doing in the community.
Okay. Well, I don't think there's nothing else I have to ask. I mean, we can go for another 15 minutes if you want, but you landed it. Like someone was talking the other day about, when you fumble, if you ever fumble, to still make sure you land like a gymnast. Like they may fall off the bars, but they still keep going and they stick that landing. You stuck your landing quite early without a fumble.
Thank you.
So any closing statements for the audience?
Yeah, I think obviously this election is really important. We've got, like you said, it's the largest one in the country,
yes,
right? The longest ballot.
In the United States.
And so, I would say, ask yourself, what do we want for our city, our community, our state? It's not just about this JP race. It's about so much more than that.
Absolutely.
And vote, take everybody in your household to vote, everybody 3 people on your street, take them to go vote, because it's that important. And I definitely ask you for your vote. My name is Melanie Miles, and I'm running for Justice of the Peace, Precinct 7, Place 2. Precinct 7, if you don't already know, if y'all wondering, like, where the heck is Precinct 7? Precinct 7 is 3rd Ward, Sunnyside, South Park, South Union. It whips on around to Hiram Clark, over by Madison High School, in down Post Oak, West Orem, down Post Oak, over into Bel Air, Braeswood, not Bel Air, let me strike that. Not Bel Air, but Braeswood, Stella Link area, and then coming on down into even parts of Midtown. So it's a big area.
Parts of the medical center? Like the back part of it?
Not the medical center, really. Okay. It's kind of weird. No, not the medical center.
But like those.
You would think so.
The stadium. It's part of the stadium, like those 6, like where Dr. Heather Brown's office is. Is that part of your precinct? Okay.
Nope, it's not. It's really kind of weird.
That's weird. It is. Stella Link.
It is. It's Stella Link, Braeswood, and then it kind of skips around. Yeah, I mean,
like on the Papados.
That's a good way to put it. Like on the Papados side, and it comes back.
Okay.
So it's really kind of strange, but it's a big area.
Okay.
And it's an important area, and it's an area where people definitely need representation, and they need some good judges that a good judge. We already have one, but we need another one to serve all those people.
Okay. Well, happy Founders Day again.
Happy Founders Day.
I'm sure I'll see you a little bit later.
Yes.
But thank you for coming, and best of luck on the next several weeks. Early voting starts February 17th.
17th through the 27th.
Yeah, February 17th. So make sure you get out and vote early.
Yes.
and take somebody with you.
Yes. This pretty petty politics. I like it.
You like it?
I like it.
We have to get too petty tonight.
No. Petty is not cute.
It's but politics is petty.
The politics can't. It is
petty.
It is. But you don't have to be petty.
No, you don't have to be petty.
You don't have to be. You just have to be factual, right? I mean, if you got to win by being, in the mud and petty and all of that, you need to. You're not ready. You're not ready.
All right. Well, we will see you next week. I'll make some announcements. Make sure you're following us on Facebook and Instagram, and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube. Have a wonderful night.
Bye.
Bye.